Hey YouTube, how's it going? Long time no see. Sorry it's been so long, I'm a bit shit. Hello. I thought I'd come back and let you know that I'm alive and give you an update on how my life's going and why I haven't been making that many YouTube videos as well. So yeah, it's just been the end of the year, hasn't it? And finally a bit of sunshine outside. Finally getting back to springtime, the clocks have gone forward and all that sort of good stuff. So I'm feeling a bit better, but I wasn't feeling that good, which is why I wasn't really making YouTube videos, because I find that there's not much point in getting online and sort of talking about how shit you feel all the time. It doesn't really help. Although your support has always been much appreciated in the past, I have to say. YouTube friends have come through for me in the past when I've been feeling really bad. But I'd rather sort of put positivity out into the world, or at least put something useful out into the world. What do you think of my hair? It's a treat because I gave up smoking 22 days today since I had a cigarette. So I got lots of treats, including my hair, and I got my nails done. This is glittery shellac, although they're growing out a bit now, which is a bit of a shame. And what else did I treat myself to? Some new clothes, and I spent all my savings. I only had £200 savings anyway, but I spent it all. Because my promise to myself was I could do whatever the fuck I wanted as long as I didn't smoke a cigarette. And I've done it. 21 days is sort of the official nicotine addiction quote from doctors. So I've sort of kicked the nicotine addiction, hopefully. And now it's just about keeping with the habit, breaking the habits. I feel so much better. If you're a smoker and you're worried about giving up smoking, two things. Firstly, you will feel so much better for doing it. And secondly, it's much easier than you think it is. It's not easy, but it's much easier than you think it's going to be. Because smokers just think the worst thing in the world is going to be to not have a cigarette. But actually, you'll surprise yourself with how good you feel even like 2 or 3 days in. When you're not in the middle of a horrible craving, you actually feel pretty good. You've got more energy, and you can feel your blood pressure's gone down, and you sleep so much better. I wake up feeling so much better. Next is to kick the weed, but that was number one. I don't know if you've seen my video about, the bucket list and things that I'm going to do in 2013, and number one was to give up smoking, so I've done it, I've checked it off. I've checked it off on my whiteboard up in my bedroom, and written next to it 22 days, and every day I sort of wipe it out, add another day, so I'm doing really well. I'm really proud of myself. So next up is to get a qualification to teach English as a foreign language, to get a driver's license, to save money, and to learn a language and to learn to play cello and learn photography, and take up regular yoga and journaling, sort of for my mental health, and like as a coping mechanism. But kicking the weed is the next thing. Kicking a weed is quite a big thing. I think it's easier. I don't really like, American viewers, you guys probably all smoking blunt, like all smoking without any tobacco in there, but I've just spent the last 10 years smoking with tobacco, and I don't really enjoy this whole weed smoking without tobacco or using a pipe or a bong or anything. I'm not big on the whole pure weed thing. I used to like that high, that sort of nicotine mixed with, that was sort of what I found so addictive. So now I think it's going to be quite easy to give up weed, which is good because then I'll have more energy and much more money to put into my other goals. Things aren't going so well with my boyfriend still. Had another massive argument last night. It's funny, isn't it? Some people, they're just naturally sort of like my best friend Dan, who's also my ex-boyfriend, who I went out with 10 years ago, and who I split up with because although he was the best boyfriend I ever had, and I love him to this day, I genuinely love him, I wasn't sexually attracted to him. And I think that's sort of part of, an intimate relationship. You can't be with someone you don't want to have sex with, no matter how good they are for your life. And I'm very lucky that I've been able to hold on to him as a friend, and I like to think that I'm good for him too. It's not just like I take from him. But my boyfriend, he's not really that sort of, he's a bit, whilst he's wildly sort of, I find him wildly entertaining and really good fun to be around. When this shit hits the fan, he's not actually very good. He's a bit of a typical man, like he doesn't, and I mean like the stereotype of a man, not I'm saying all men are like that. He's a bit of, if I reference the stereotype of a man not being very good at being supportive when you're having a hard time, blah, 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 you're going to know who I'm talking about. Whether or not that is the case, or whether or not that does define men. He's a bit like that. And I've had loads of screaming rows with him since I gave up smoking. Because he's an idiot. Basically, when you're giving up smoking, you're really irritable. Like, you can't actually, I've done my best to be, I've been surprisingly graceful and sort of like, but I've done my best to be as sort of graceful as possible. But you have your moments, you know, where you sort of like you're sort of picking up on something. You're like, you know, could you stop doing that, please? Da da da. He's really willing to get into arguments with me. He's not given up smoking. He's just had a cigarette. He's just come back inside from having a cigarette, and he's willing to pick up these sort of arguments with me, and that makes me feel sort of like he's a bit selfish. Like I asked him in advance, I said, like, you know, the next couple of months are going to be quite hard because I'm going to be giving up smoking, and I asked him in advance for his sort of support and his commitment and his help. And I'm really disappointed to find that basically we've just spent, every time we see each other, we just have a massive row over stupid shit. I know why I'm having rows over stupid shit. I've given up smoking. What's his excuse? I feel like he should have been the bigger person. He should be the bigger person. So I'm thinking about speaking today about maybe taking like a month break from our relationship. I've never really liked the idea of being on a break, because I think like if you want to take breaks, you probably should split up because your relationship clearly isn't working. But I wonder if maybe if I take a break, have a month where I sort of give up smoking on my own, I might, you know, because my big fear is, you know, if I'm honest, I don't think my big fear is losing him. My big fear is being on my own. So maybe if I spend a sort of month without speaking to him on a daily basis and, you know, having him around all the time and spend a bit of time thinking about what I want, it might become clear to me that this relationship's not really working for me. And I haven't left a relationship in 10 years, actually. The last, like, 4 or 5 relationships, they all break up with me. I'm a sucker for... Once I think I love someone, I'll put up with all manner of shit and I'll, you know, try anything I can to make it work. And I just never really leave relationships that don't work until they fucking make me leave them. I always want to try to make it work. But, you know, maybe that's part of sort of growing up a bit and making myself happy and having some self-esteem, you know, is sort of bringing a relationship to an end when it doesn't work for you. And it's not about, like, you know, how they're going to feel or... the only consideration is this relationship isn't making me happy. I want this. I'm not getting that from this relationship. I've repeatedly communicated that to you clearly. I've repeatedly given you opportunities to give me what I want from this relationship. I'm not asking for unrealistic things that you can't do, and yet you're not doing them. There has to come a point where you say, you know, sorry, I love you and I wish you all the best in the future, but I want to be with someone who gives me these things, and you know that I want to be with that, and you're not giving me that. Sometimes you do have to be selfish. Actually, a lot of my upset with him recently has been that he absolutely automatically puts himself first. And I think that is more common amongst men as well. Like, I think men are more socialised to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not criticising men. I think that, you know, you've got to look out for number one. But I think that often women are made to feel socialised to feel like guilty if they put themselves first, and socialised to sort of socialised. I think that there is a biological element as well, but I think it's massively played up. You know, it's a predisposition, it's not a destiny, and it's massively played up by the sort of level of socialisation you receive from even from a young age. The toys that they give to little girls are dolls. You know, your whole games when you're a little girl are caring for other people. All of the sort of toys you have are all about sort of caring. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself first, is there? I always think that, like, I'm actually sort of falling out of love with my boyfriend because he so consistently puts himself first and doesn't ever really prioritise our relationship whatsoever. It goes him and what he wants, his career, his friends, playing PlayStation, then me. And that's not right, is it? I mean, that's not right. Is that right? I mean, I need advice here, like... People that consider themselves to be in happy, supportive relationships, please can you tell me, you know, where does the relationship come in your list of priorities? Do you have to put yourself first, then your career, blah, blah, blah? Or is it that the relationship goes above everything else? It goes above the career, it goes above the PlayStation, it goes above your social life. The relationship's the most important thing. Is that how you have a happy relationship? You tell me. I'd love to know. What else? So yeah, I'd like to make some more YouTube videos. I've got a bit of a list. I was thinking about doing like top 10 ways to cope with depression and like a few of those sort of like bloggy, sort of fanzine-y things. If you don't mind me doing that style of video for a little while, I would quite like to do it. I actually think I have some wisdom to impart on certain things. I think I'm getting quite good about dealing with depression, dealing with loneliness, dealing with social anxiety. I think I could take some quite useful and maybe quite original things that you don't get on every sort of top 10 ways to cope with depression. I think I do have some insights to give. I think it'd be good for me to make some videos like that. and be a bit more confident. You know, I try and make one video where I give some advice to someone else, and someone comes along and they're like, who do you think you are to give advice to other people? And I start getting all like, oh, sorry, you're right, like, I am just a mental patient because my self-esteem's really low. But actually, fuck you, I'm someone that lived to the age of 26 years old through major sort of, although I've been very lucky and I'm very grateful for how I have been lucky in my life, I've also lived through some major upheavals that are relevant to other people, and that other people could take lessons from my shit and not have to do it themselves. And that'd be great. And my last video was about sort of helping people, and not that many people actually asked for my help. A lot of people wanted to be sort of pen pals and keep company, and I've done my best to sort of, I am going to sort of spend some time today responding to some emails, and I'm sorry if you haven't heard from me for a little while. I've done my best to keep up. I got a surprising number of requests, and it was more difficult because I was trying to basically coordinate about 12 pen pals at once, and then I got quite depressed because it was February and I hadn't had enough sunlight, and it sort of fell out of it. So if you haven't had a response to me for a while, I'm really sorry. But hello, pen pals. It's really nice to have a sort of ongoing dialogue with you guys, and I will write you some responses soon. So the big dilemma really now is, do I carry on trying to get a job in Brighton, which will mean an inevitable pay cut because the jobs pay less in Brighton than they do in London, and it will mean basically massively narrowing down my career options because because there are really very few jobs available in Brighton. There really aren't that many. It's not like I can choose to be work at a magazine as an editorial assistant if I move to Brighton. I can't have the dream jobs if I move to Brighton because none of those companies are based in Brighton. They're based in London and other places. So do I take the pay cut and the loss of job opportunities, and do I basically take a job that pays the bills but that I'm not passionately involved with, so that I can be with someone that I genuinely feel that I do love but that I worry doesn't support me and doesn't I worry it's not worth it? Or should I stay in London where I'm inevitably going to feel stressed out and horrible? I don't like living in London. People aren't very friendly. I hate the commute. I have to do an hour commute each way to work even though I live in London. It's fucking shit. It's really tiring. And I don't like whilst I don't mind the job that I currently have. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm a PA. My manager's I've been in this job now for 4 months, and now I've been asked to take over as PA to the chief executive as well because I'm doing a really good job. My manager thinks I'm really good, and she's going to set up. She thinks she's going to set up an office manager job for me, which would pay $30,000 a year. At the moment, I make $25,000 a year, so it wouldn't be insignificant. And the average in Britain is $24,000 a year, so it really wouldn't be bad going to make $30,000 a year as an office manager. It'll give me a bit of time to think about what I want to do next. So I don't want to do it forever anyway because I want to I want to go travelling and other things. So I'm not going to be in it forever. Would I be better off to not because I like Brighton more. I prefer to live in Brighton, and I miss him, really miss him, and it does make me happy to be in Brighton with him, but we argue a lot, and I don't feel like he's very good when the shit hits the fan, and I would be basically isolating myself, pretty much relying on his company, and taking, as I say, a massive sort of step down in terms of career prospects and money, and how much money I would have to spend and live on for that. So what do you think? I mean, am I better off being lonely and having a career, or having company and not having a career? And if that company makes me unhappy, is it better to be lonely or to have company which occasionally makes you unhappy? That's where I'm at the moment. So I think I might ask him today for a 1 month break, even though I think breaks are really sort of a sign that you probably shouldn't be in the relationship. I think I would like to take a 1 month break, see how I feel going without him, and give him a chance to stop feeling so fucking I kind of don't blame the guy for going off and playing PlayStation rather than talking to me, because every time he talks to me we do have horrible rows, and I am very fucking brutally honest about all of the shit I feel like he's done to me. You split up with me twice, I never let the shit go, because he never makes the shit up to me. I feel like I can never let it go. He breaks my heart, and then he doesn't feel the need to do anything about it, to make it up to me. So then he thinks that I should just let it go and I'm not being forgiving. And I sort of feel that if you're willing to get on with the relationship, even though the person split up with you, then you are sort of saying, I'm willing to forgive you. But I didn't get back together with him just going, okay, you can just do what you want. I got back together with him on the understanding that these things were going to be different. and they're not. I know I can hear myself. I know that I should split up with him, but I just don't want. I don't want to feel like shit for the next 5-6 months. You know, it will break my heart to lose him. And if you care that much about someone, then surely it's better to sort of try and make things work than let go of it. I suppose ultimately only if they're willing to make things work as well, hey? Anyway, everyone says, oh, wow, I really like your hairdo, and everyone's giving me loads of compliments, and, you know, on my new clothes, and I went out last night with work people for drinks and had actually quite a good time, and realised that although they're not like all my age, or I don't really feel like they're even like me, or we have that much in common, it's like, you know, there are still, you know, opportunities. It's sometimes just nice to go out for a drink with people where, you know, it's just a chit-chat thing, and it doesn't need to be a big, deep friendship thing, or big, deep conversation. So at least there's, you know, maybe I'm better off where I am, even though I'd be lonely at first. I need to, you know, make some friends and get some career prospects rather than, you know, move away from career prospects and isolate myself in a new town. Maybe. But I did want to move to Brighton because it's a nice place to be in, a fun left-wing sort of a place. I don't know. Anyway, YouTube, I'm going to stop waffling now. I hope you're well, and let me know how you're doing, and video responses are very welcome, and I will try, you know, I always say it, but I will try to make more regular videos, especially, you know, I tend to make more videos over summer while it's nice and sunny, so I'll try to come back and make some good videos soon. I hope you're well. Thanks for listening. Bye.